This week on the program, it's a movie about a grown man who should be nowhere near a child. It's Bushwhacked. I'm Andrew Jupin.
Steven Sadak.
Eric Siska.
Chris Cabin.
And this is We Hate Movies, episode 700. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fine program. As always, thank you for tuning in. That's right, 700, guys, if you can even believe it.
And we had to celebrate by doing a classic cult comedy that no one is talking about anymore, and we love it.
What are you talking about, Eric? This is 700th on the AFI Best Comedies list.
It should be.
This is number 700. That's what made it linked up perfectly for us.
Oh, there was only 700 comedies ever made. Okay, got it.
Yeah, exactly. So they got back right to the bottom.
You know what's funny is we've talked about this movie. I think me and Chris maybe referenced it here and there on the show for years.
Yes,
I've had people at live shows, multiple cities, come up to me and ask, when are we getting an episode on Bushwhacked?
Dude, I've had it. I've had people ask me in person at meet and greets about Bushwhacked. I've had my own younger sister, who I am personally dedicating this episode to, ask me, when are you doing Bushwhacked? When with the Bushwhacked? When will the Bushwhacked episode happen?
It's here. 700.
I have never seen Bushwhacked before this, and I will say a little more fun than I thought it would be, to be quite honest.
Yeah, see, there you go. It's from 1995, directed by Greg Beeman. Now, check this guy out. He works a ton in TV these days.
It's the Beeman.
Beeman. Hey, Beeman.
Beeman.
But also the director of motion pictures like Problem Child 3.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mom
That's
and
the good
Dad
stuff.
Save the World.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the two Corys in License to Drive.
Nice.
Of course.
License
could-
Drive
Oh,
is
yeah.
a stay tuned for sure.
It is definitely a stay tuned. I kind of enjoy watching it. Maybe that's nostalgia. I mean, this is quite a filmography that sent him straight into the television industry ever since.
Yeah, you're out of movies, B-Man. Don't worry about
Dude,
that.
I guarantee you go to the Beeman estate, it's pretty nice. Like, it's got
Oh.
a couple of bathrooms, couple of bedrooms,
Oh,
couple
yeah.
of pools.
Well,
Oh,
still-
the B-Man's got a couple of bathrooms, dude. Don't worry about that.
He is still working. He's working on that. What is it? It's Murdaugh Murders. This Lifetime miniseries with Bill Pullman. So he is still working.
Well,
That's
but Eric, don't cheapen the man. He's been working on his passion project for many years, a 6-hour biopic of Benito Mussolini called The Bull.
No, he's not.
No, he has not. Absolutely. No, this guy doesn't have any ambitions, period. He's just doing Murdaugh murders.
Well,
that's
No,
what
dude, you look at the television credit. This motherfucker works in directing television.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
a lot. Yes.
And that's why Steve is right. There's 2 pools. There's about 16 toilets.
Uh-huh.
Dude's doing all right. And he gave us fucking Bushwhacked, which, folks at home, if you weren't
Masterpiece.
around in the mid-90s, there was this weird sort of trend or like popularity wave that was going on. Like, and you won't believe it if I tell you, but Daniel Stern, at the height of his powers, directing and starring in motion pictures, it was just this weird, because it's like this, and he directed and also has a supporting role in Rookie of the Year.
Certainly.
Obviously, the Home Alone films, so like the mid 90s was a great time to be Daniel Stern.
Daniel Stern, I think, is a great talent that was kind of overlooked.
Yeah.
He was people just zeroed in on the Home Alone thing.
Yeah.
And this, I guess, conceptually started out as a spin-off of Home Alone, of Marv trying to get his life together. And it morphed into what we have here is Bushwhacked. And he plays Max Grabelski, which is finally some decent Polish representation.
Uh-huh. I mean, it is accurate, too. It does feel accurate to the Polish experience.
Oh, it is. Yes. Right, Steve? Steve, you and I, we're both scumbags and Polish people.
Oh, absolutely. We're just walking around with leather suit jackets and slicked back hair.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. He just plays. I mean, and here's the thing. Like, I'm sure Daniel Stern, I'd love to meet him. Open invite, obviously, Daniel Stern.
course,
like, he
yes.
just seems like a really nice guy, but like, he also just plays a scumbag so well. And this Max Grabelski is primo grade A scumbag.
And a likable scumbag. That's hard to do.
That's important, yeah.
Yes,
Quick
yeah.
question.
Well, and we were allowing it a lot more in the 90s comedy mode. Like you could be more of a scumbag and be the hero of your movie,
Yeah.
essentially.
Sure.
I would have hated the Marv fucking movie. If this was a spin-off of Home Alone, I would lose my fucking
Awful.
mind.
Yeah.
I will say at the very least, it would give us a little more idea as to who Max Grabelski is. We don't get a lot of it. Like,
Really?
I
You
just
don't-
need to see his shitty apartment. Maybe he's living at home with his mother.
Yeah.
Like something like that. I think I would be like, I would
Flesh it
be
out more.
just like a hair.
But you know, it starts with staying alive. You see him on the street, instantly starts grabbing and rubbing, like scratching his crotch,
Mhm.
walking
Yeah.
down to this music, going into this deli, and the guy's like, "What can I get you?" And he's like, 2 packs of Marlboros, a pack of Snowballs, and a jumbo Coke.
Mhm.
Dude, and it's that I feel
It
like
paints a
that's
picture.
why, Steve, I think to your point, like, yeah, but you can also glean from that snack food, that childish snack food order plus
Sure.
the cigarettes. Like he's just a giant child person.
Sure.
And that's
Yeah.
definitely living in the garage outside of mom's house or whatever that is. I think you're totally right. You know, this movie is like a flat 90. Sure. Give me what happens right before the staying alive montage.
Yes,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? It's a real like, Biff, when you coming home kind of relationship.
I graphed on the idea. It's just Sinbad and house guest before he becomes the house guest.
Got
I
it.
assume it's the same kind of life. He also has the potato chip bag that he sleeps in
Some sort of drifter's apartment kind of a
Yes,
situation.
exactly.
bare walls.
Absolutely.
above a tattoo parlor. You know, the good
and he
stuff.
sneaks onto a bus without paying the fare. He knows all the ins and outs and the grooves of society and how to flow through them.
I really thought he was a low-level mafia guy, just like from the beginning. I'm like, oh, and then he's gonna.
I
No,
could see
he's
that.
he's clean the cut.
He's just a scumbag who works at a Federal Express knockoff called
Yes.
Freedom Express.
Yeah, that's what we should have changed the name to after 9/11. We had fucking Freedom Fries and we had Freedom Express.
Do we think? Here's a question about Daniel Stern's career:
Mm.
Is it better or worse, or could he not have even done it if he was the other role in Dumb and Dumber? If he was the Jeff Daniels role in Dumb and Dumber?
Mm.
Ooh.
Maybe. He'd probably
Worst
be better-
movie. First
better
of
as
Worst
all,
movie, yeah, I think so
Lloyd,
too.
maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So he was supposed, is that true?
No, I'm just sort of thinking about Daniel
Oh.
Stern what ifs.
Mm.
That's probably a big one. Yeah. I mean, interestingly, you know, Jeff Daniels after that really like hammered home like the dramatic acting. And like
Yes.
Daniel Stern, a lot of stuff that he's done more recently, like, he's done some like television here and there
Yeah.
and things like that. Shows I've never ever watched, I don't think. But like they do kind of lean more dramatic. I mean, he's like a theater actor,
Sure.
I think was his like stock and trade pre-Chud, of course. Chud is what
But
really,
of course, yes, yeah.
you know, sent him.
The real.
Were you
the
guys
substance.
timing it? Like how long before he mentions Chud? Like, oh shit, under 10 minutes. Who had under 10 minutes?
I mean, he plays
yeah.
dads a lot now. That's his
Yes.
new
Yes.
thing. The the 80 Bryant show. I'm forgetting the name of it.
Shrill, yes.
Shrill, yes, he's the dad on Shrill. And I mean, it's funny that Home Alone did kind of make him like he had to become kind of a kids actor.
Yes.
That's like
Right.
Rookie of the Year and this, despite their, you know, the leadings of his characters in both movies, really,
Yeah.
they are for children. And I think it would have been fun for him to actually be able to grow up and be in like more serious stuff. Play like a lanky, not exactly a Chud kind of character, but like, you know, a guy who runs an AA meeting or
Yeah,
something like
Right.
that.
I mean, he
Stuff like
wasn't-
that.
He wasn't City Slickers, which is more, that's kind of a
More of adult.
dramedy.
An Ingmar
it's-
Bergman movie. I mean, it's fucking.
Well, that
Yeah.
open part with Yardley Smith there. Yeah, that's a Cassavetes motion picture.
What about, has anyone ever seen Diner? It always seemed too
Oh, yeah.
boomery for my taste.
Yes.
It's a
I've
super
seen-
boomer movie.
I've seen Diner, and it's all right.
Got
Yeah,
some
it's
fun
not-
moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like every other Barry Levinson movie.
But it's got quite a cast.
Yeah.
He's what's that? There's like that cycling movie that he's into, I thought. What is that
Breaking
movie called?
Away.
Yes. Yeah.
That's okay. That he's pretty good in that, but he's
That
very
was-
young. He's very young in that.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess like the Home Alone extension is what like makes this movie
yeah.
exist. But it's like, and I this gets thrown around a lot, and like I think 90% of it is false when it is said, but I think it's very true here with this movie Bushwhacked. And I suspect it might be why here in the prudish states of America, this movie is not on Disney Plus, because it's a 20th Century Fox movie back in 95. So that's all folded in with Disney now. And like we've heard from like Canadian and UK friends that they have had Bushwhacked on Disney Plus. But this is indeed a movie that you would not get made today. A movie where a guy is around all these children. He's constantly smoking and like blowing the smoke in their face and being shitty to children and waving guns around.
Really smart. They don't touch the third rail here. There is no joke there's no joke about, there's no people misunderstanding, there's no fear of molestation in this film. That's the third rail. The movie knows it. It changes everything. If someone's like, what's he doing with those kids? Like, that convict with my kids, like, if somebody just even calls him a pervert, the whole movie goes off the rails. You know what I mean?
You're totally right. You're totally right.
I think that's a lot to do with Daniel Stern's performance too. Is he's very careful to make him, there is an innocent element to him.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
you know, he would not do something like that from the get-go. And like, I mean, I love this opening. I love how like quickly we get into him just being like, well, he is willing to put his life on the line for $50. $50, man.
It's like
and
$50 over like whatever it is, like 10 deliveries. So at Max, again, your life on the line, your life is worth $500 to you.
Yep.
And Anthony Held, the great Anthony Held.
Hell yeah.
Dr. Chilton from
Silence.
And I think he's also comes back in Red Dragon. And he just one of our greatest snooty actors, just a guy that should have sheet cake falling on him at the end of every movie that he's in. Can clock this dude, because I mean, like, what Held is getting is $60 million out of this whole situation, this whole crooked deal. Like, wouldn't you just be like, yo, dude, I'll give you 50 grand? You know what I mean? Like, just like,
no,
Grease is, but he knows that he can get away with it for 500. He looks
50 grand sounds like you're involved in something now. $50 is just like, oh, you know, I was just around, man. Like, it has that element to, you know, it's kind of like The Big Lebowski in a way, how it's just like falling backwards into weird little plots and getting money. And
but this is like, Anthony Hill looks at this guy and he's like, that's a guy that has more than once slept overnight in an OTB. He will do this gig for $500 and that will be like amazing to him. He will think that he's ripping me off, you know? But yeah, so he works for Freedom Express. He is sashaying down the street to go to work at Freedom Express. His boss is Art Evans from Die Hard 2. He's like the guy that's like showing Bruce Willis around the airport at different parts or whatever. He's
great voice on this guy. Real raspy.
Yes. And when he's yelling Grabowski and stuff, it sounds like the police chief is reaming him out, but he's just his boss at Freedom Express.
Can I ask you guys? I mean, like, again, like, this is my first time. I know you guys all grew up with it. Is this like a 12 timer for you guys? Like, have you seen this?
Oh,
yes. Dozens of times.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. All right.
This was in the Jupin household. This was owned on VHS. My brother and my younger sister and I watched the ever-loving shit out of Bushwhacked. Like, I couldn't tell you how many times I've seen this movie. It's up there with like those VHS tapes that were just on repeat in our house, like the second fucking Ace Ventura movie. I could not tell you how many times I've seen that movie.
Sure.
Like, it was just one of those.
The farting jazz rock score just in my head, tattooed in there.
Let's talk about the score for a second, because it's not quite Fat Guy John Candy music, but there is something to it. It's jazz might be it.
It's fat kid music. That's the difference. It's more
Camp
geared
Candy
to
music.
Yeah, exactly.
Candy.
Yeah, that works. I mean, it's more to that degree because there's a jumpiness to it. They're not like. There's no sexiness or like danger to it, which is what you want with your John Candy music.
What it also has up and down is some wailing guitar solos when you need it. That guitar is here for you with this score. Don't worry about it. So yeah, he's got to give this delivery to Mr. Bragdon, which we learn as he gets to the house is Anthony Heald, because you have this hilarious like painted portrait of him or whatever. And I love this like Daniel's. I mean, so much of this is just a cartoon, right? He walks in, sniffing around like what's cooking. He opens a door and like Bragdon is like maybe in this office on fire, and it's like, oh, what's cooking? Human flesh. Like, we're making those kind of jokes in this movie a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
So
then
yeah, it's yes.
so
go
at
ahead.
this initial scene here where he goes to the fire and he starts screaming, fire, and Jon Polito comes out
Hell yeah.
as FBI, you're under arrest. The supporting cast really helps make this movie. We also get Brad Sullivan later, who's excellent in this. So yeah, he pulls a gun on Max Grabelski. You're under arrest, and the other agent runs in, bumps into him. The gun falls. It goes across the floor, and now Max Grabelski has the gun.
That turned the tables on these guys.
That's right.
This other guy is the young guy from The Fugitive, and then later returns in U.S. Marshals, where I believe he's at least shot or maybe even murdered.
No, he's killed. Yeah, he gets killed. So
Is he
spoiler
killed?
alert for everybody. Yeah.
Spoiler alert for U.S. Marshals.
It's a big twist moment. You'll see it coming when we finally do U.S. Marshals in a couple. of months.
It'll happen.
Yeah.
Here we got Max just Daniel Stern pointing the gun at Jon Polito. I'm telling you, there's a fire in there.
I did not.
I love the him running out, jumping out this window again, super cartoonishly.
Oh, just jumping out a glass pane window. Yeah.
Yes, and with the box explodes. There's money everywhere. I'm taking some of that money. You know what I mean?
Of course,
definitely. That'll come in handy when I'm on the lam.
Exactly.
But I know, like, Max Grabelski's supposed to be like a coward or whatever, but even still, again, this is a dude that has multiple times done an overnight at an OTB. Like, this guy's picking up some of that cash as he scurries away or whatever.
This is the type of guy that would pick up cigarette butts, and create his own.
Yeah, just see if anything's left. Just gonna see if anything's left. Maybe a couple puffs left on this butt. Yeah,
I mean,
that's gross.
Polito's the guy who's working with Polito from The Future. It does put a button on the fact that this is essentially The Fugitive for dumb kids.
Yeah, it is, because it's a classic wrongman thing at this point, right? He is like accused of murdering Bragdon. I do love at least a little bit here, Steve. There's a hint of like there's no establishing shot and there's no sign that they know him here. However, I think he is a regular at this scumbag bar that he goes to call the boss. And this is this great line where he's like, you got to look up any more deliveries for Reinhart, Bragdon, and the guy from Die Hard 2 is like, what does he have to do with it? And there's this great Daniel Stern screaming, because that's the guy I killed, like in this bar.
You don't understand. They wanted to find out what Provasic was. The guy who burned down the house had a fake right arm. A fake right arm.
Yeah, the yelling, that's the guy I killed, because I'm being framed. Daniel Stern, what a master class right here.
Gorgeous. It's fucking funny, man. I mean, here's the thing. 65% of what you hear in this movie is Daniel Stern screaming in one way or another. He's either screaming dialogue or just that amazing Daniel Stern, there's a spider on my face in Home Alone screaming.
I was very pleasantly surprised because I thought it was going to be like the kids were going to Home Alone him at some point and really start turning the screws. They almost do it a little bit, but it the moment passes. It's not a kid power movie, actually. Again,
no,
pleasantly surprised by that.
That's what's great, right? It's kind of fascinating. And again, why I don't think you would sort of write a movie this way. Like, it's a movie where an adult is paired with children, right? So think about another one that came out kind of around the same time, like 3 years before, like The Mighty Ducks. That's way more, I mean, one, obviously kid power, they fucking win the game and whatever, but also like it's more the kid's story than it is Emilio. Like, Emilio Estevez is not the main character of The Mighty Ducks.
No.
Daniel Stern as Max Grabelski is the main character of Bushwhacked, a movie where an adult is paired with some children who are also there and have plenty to do. But Daniel Stern is the focus of the movie at all times.
Absolutely. And I think it's very important to say, like, I love that you made that connection, because it is really about, hey, derelicts of the world, derelicts of the nation.
Unite and take over.
Why don't you all come together and help us raise our kid? Why don't you get off your ass, stop trying to get $50 for like swindling money, and why don't you just like stake down, become a camping expert? How about that?
It takes a village, Chris. It really does.
Exactly. And Daniel Stern helps with that village.
So he finds out, like, oh, there's another delivery for this guy, but it's going to Devil's Peak. And Daniel Stern says, Devil's Peak? Why would anybody want to go to the mountains? And it
Mm.
cuts to this really funny, like, the joke is the camera's just flipped and it's these little boys. You think they're like climbing a mountain at first, but it's just they're in this dude's driveway crawling on the ground. I do like the way the camera sort of like tilts. Because what happens? Like, what breaks the illusion? Like a dog walks up or a kid on a tricycle.
Another kid on a tricycle is like, what are you kids doing?
Yeah, the camera kind of like flips and you're like, oh, that's kind of cute. And, you know, it's the mid-90s, man. You better believe these are fucking 5 white boys you cannot tell the difference between.
Well, you need to get some differentiation. I mean, having a black kid would be fantastic. But also just like character differences. There's like the lead and then the boy that with the blonde hair are almost
Gordy
exactly
and other Gordy.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Gordy and Gordy squared. The fat kid, at least, like he's the fat kid,
Yes.
and B, he's a liar. The nerdy guy is a nerdy guy, and he's a scaredy cat.
Tiny kid.
Milton Fishman.
Milton Fishman. You need between Gordy and other Gordy, we need something going. And I thought the thing was going to be other Gordy was going to but like. You know,
he's got a crush on the girl.
Yeah, he's gonna become the boyfriend of the little girl.
I'm glad we don't do that shit. These kids are just fucking props, you know? They're along for the ride.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, yeah, they're there to like help heighten like jokes that happen around them. But like, you don't give a fuck about these kids. You don't give a shit like what the merit badge situation is, and they're like fake Boy Scout organization they're in.
Did any of you feel fucking anything when Gordy goes flying off the ridge? I certainly didn't.
No,
I was like,
not at all.
whoops, we lost one.
I was more worried because I was like, looks like they lost one. I was more worried just because I was like, fuck, now the movie dictates Daniel Stern's got to go down there and save him, and now I'm worried.
Yeah, and then I got super worried for my dear Daniel Stern as Max Grabelski. But by the way, once we do get to those mounds, great photography in these sequences. We are outside, we are filming shit, you know.
I will say my good friend Cam Rippey helped me out to watch this movie, came over with, and we had a good time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that was, that's like a Blu-ray transfer. It is gorgeous. It looks someone lovingly.
I have never seen it look that good. And this is pirated from, you know, we got handed it down. Dr. Torrentino gave us a prescription.
Like usual, you're just you get them flipped up. They're brothers. I understand. You were watching David Ripley.
Of course.
David Ripley, or as he goes, Divid sometimes.
Got it.
He was the one you were talking to and watching the movie with. But they look alike. They look identical sometimes. I
gotta
get
tell
why
you
you think that way.
Here's the other thing. How, with like the outright crap that gets put on Blu-ray these days, like how has this movie not received a proper Blu-ray release? You cannot buy this on anything but standard def DVDs.
Because I am sitting next to 3 of the only people that would buy it. This is the problem.
This
is the
It's
problem.
true. Eric, it's
Yes.
true. We gotta accept it. It's true.
The one guy that asked me when we're doing it, maybe he would buy it too.
Maybe him too.
That's 4 right
total.
there.
Well,
My sister would get a copy. There's another sale.
I mean, there's an alternate world where this is given the proper respect it should
Sure.
get. This was part of apparently like a deal Daniel Stern had with the studio, and they were going
Makes a
to
ton
do
of sense.
multiple movies, not Bushwhacked, but multiple projects. But since this one failed, they threw that deal out, and it's just we could have had way more Daniel Stern in our lives.
Well, this was 95. When was what the fuck year is Rookie of the Year? Because he's an executive producer on this movie as well as starring in it. He, if I'm remembering right, he directed Rookie of the Year.
He did.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Rookie of the Year is 1993, so it's prior to this movie.
Okay, got it. All right.
Can I go to the cast a little bit here?
Yeah, do it up.
We have Corey Carrier as Ralph, also known as Other Gordy. He's the blonde kid.
Okay.
He's got a great career. One previous episode, The Adventures of Pinocchio, he played Lampwick, if you'll remember.
Oh, sure. And I think at that time we were like, hey, that kid's in Bushwhacked.
Something, he did one of his biggest roles was he played even younger Indiana Jones Jr.
Oh, that's right.
And also played Richard Nixon at 12 years old in the movie Nixon.
What in the world?
That's amazing.
Do you think he was like, well, I'm Richard Nixon?
Probably. I hope so.
What is
Peace
that?
signs and
That's
everything.
the Oliver Stone movie?
Yes,
Yep.
it is.
With Anthony Hopkins? I never saw
Oh,
it,
yeah.
actually. Is it any
Really
good?
good. Oh,
Is
yeah.
it really?
It's very long, but like,
Sure.
I mean, do you like long Oliver Stone, like JFK? Do you like JFK? Then it's a
Yeah.
very similar timber.
Okay. No, fair enough. Yeah, I just never got around to it. I remember it had like a memorable but not great VHS cover. If I
Yeah,
remember
it's just
the
half
ma-
of his face. It's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Hopkins' face.
It
half,
was
yeah.
kind of whatever. But also he like Anthony Hopkins as Nixon also looked like it could have been Anthony Hopkins playing Ed Sullivan, and it was
Yes.
always kind of weird.
Yeah.
Any more with the cast there, Steve? Who else you got?
Well, I'm looking it up. He is. Oh, I see. The Gordy played Peggy's like shitty boyfriend that she's almost gonna like get engaged to in the suitcase at Mad Men.
Oh,
The one
sure.
that, like, goes out with her parents, and like her mom's like, "We're all here waiting for you." This kind of a thing.
Is he the one that lives in the shitty apartment, or like the apartment in a shitty area or something?
No,
Is
that's
that guy?
that's another one of her boyfriends. This guy, he's only in 3
Okay.
episodes, but
Oh, got it.
so there's
Okay.
that. That's kind of his big blah blah blah. I got nothing else going on for him. Episodes and numbers. We forgot that there's Dana, the little kid.
Yeah, tiny
That
boy.
kid's he's sadly passed away. That
Oh,
guy.
I knew
really?
somebody had to be dead. I knew
You run the
someone-
numbers on a kid cast like this. Someone
Uh-huh.
he had like I think it was like heart conditions or something. He died
Huh.
like at 30 or something like that. Fucking
Poor
tragedy.
fella. I
Yeah.
mean, have we mentioned Ann Dowd being the fucking
No,
No,
Andy
not yet.
Dowd,
Like
as
the
Gordy's
hammer.
mom. Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
looking fantastic, just absolutely radiant.
This
Mhm.
is some real nice, not too shabby mid 90s Ann Dowd right here. I
not
gotta
a bad
say.
situation.
It is like that glowing mom vibe of like if you went over to a friend's house and like your friend's mom was like kind of attractive and you were
Sure.
like, oh, this is kind of weird. Like that's Ann Dowd in this movie.
Yeah.
She's looking pretty good. And she's doing some good shit in this movie too. It's not like shitty mom character. You have like a little bit of what's you can glean what's going on here. Gordy's dad and her probably not together anymore. She's like the, de facto leader of this scout troop, which like makes them kind of the shitty troop because she can't do things right because she's mom. So everything's like quote unquote lame versions of how they're going to get their merit badges or whatever. And that's sort of like, yeah.
That's Gordy 2's whole argument is
Yes.
the Kyle to Gordy Stan.
Mhm.
Right.
And he, I mean, the funny thing is that they're like, oh, for cooking, we're making pudding. And like, yeah, I kind of get it. I get what you're talking about. You're not really doing much for it. But also like, you have like a parent who's actually trying to like
Yeah.
fucking like support this thing that you like to do. You apparently like to do. I don't really know. You fucking complain all the time, so who knows really?
Exactly.
Well,
Like,
it's
who is
kids.
forcing the scouts on these? Like, was it a decree from the father? Like, maybe then, like, if the father was dead versus like divorced, then
yeah.
it's like, we got to keep this going because your father loved the scouts too.
Anybody in
Yeah,
this
that'd be
room a Cub Scout or Boy
I
Scout?
was, yeah.
Oh,
I
really?
was. Yes, I
Wow.
was. And I did kind of enjoy it, but I stopped going because it conflicted with the time The Simpsons aired on Sundays.
Me
So
too. Exactly the
No
same.
way.
I made my choice and I'm glad I did.
I was very happy with it because I don't know what the scheduling with, they always had it that time. And like
Sundays at 7 or something. Yeah.
I was doing pretty good. I won like the Pine Box Derby. I was doing pretty
Oh,
good in
wow.
Scouts.
Well, I did
Wow.
not win
I-
that. I participated and it didn't go well. I didn't get a trophy. First
Oh,
off.
you didn't? I'm sorry.
Oh, you didn't get a participation trophy, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
By the way, on the
Wait,
cruise,
drunk driving? How'd you fuck up the Pine Box Derby there?
I just did. I think the thing is with that. Well, Chris, you
or Pine Wood Derby.
You carve these models, right?
It's piece of wood. You make a car out of one piece of wood,
Out
and
of
then you have to
wood.
design the tire to make sure. And
Okay.
you have to weigh it enough so that it goes down a slant like
And that's
this.
my problem. Is I was
Oh.
like, I'm gonna make it so slick. Oh, and then I carved away most of the wood, so it's not gonna go as fast. It doesn't have the momentum going downhill.
want
You
some
need
weight
weight.
on that boy.
You need like I put a quarter on the hood of mine. and
Cheater.
that
Hold on,
really did.
wait, hold on. That's cheating.
That is
Oh, no,
cheating.
they allowed it. Oh no, it was very prominent.
I'll allow it.
Oh my god. Anyway, by the way, while we've gone through some of the cast, some of the crew stuff is interesting. The writers are pretty interesting. One, Bobby Farrelly, one of the Farrelly brothers,
Oh wow.
Yeah.
wrote this screenplay with some other people, including Tommy Swerdlow, who wrote Cool Runnings, Little Giants,
Okay. Oh
Uh,
wow. Yep.
Snow
sound
Dogs.
Oh, okay. Wait, is that the Cuba Gooding Jr. movie?
I
Snow
think
Dogs?
so. I think
yeah.
so. The Grinch, the 2018 Scott Mosier, The Grinch, and then finally this past year, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. So this
Hey!
guy, look at this guy. What a career! What a career!
Puss in Boots,
Mhm.
Last Wish, man. Fun movie. There, I'll say
I
it.
never saw it.
Whatever.
I probably will never will unless we
Never
do
will,
it.
yeah.
But people have been raving about it, and I just want to let you know. Thank Bushwhacked.
Yo,
Thank your local Bushwhacked.
Thank Bushwhacked.
The fat kid, by the way, is Barnhill, this guy, and you are introduced. I mean, we've been introduced to them climbing the mountain or whatever, but when they're like getting ready to make the brownies or whatever it is, this kid's like peeping out the window at a naked neighbor.
Yeah,
You get a
dude.
little bit of that going on. He's
Well-
like, oh, Mrs. So-and-so's
Oh.
changing.
But that's the beginning of him very obviously lying. Like the kid,
Yes.
tiny kid comes over and is like, "Oh, let me see." And he's like, "Oh, it never happened. She went away. She immediately went away. Oh, I'm sorry."
yes.
Well, because no, he also says something. I climbed the Kilimanjaro with my dad once,
Yes.
and whatever, and they're like, "Well, why doesn't your dad ever come around?" And he's like, "Well, super spies aren't allowed to do that." It's like, "Oh, dude, you just got abandoned.
Yeah.
You just got
Yeah.
abandoned."
And this he's portrayed by Max Goldblatt, who was one of the kids in Heavyweights.
Mm-hmm.
That checks out.
Oh, okay.
That makes all this sense. I mean, like,
Oh,
these
yes.
whatever these movies were around, like, 92 to like production year, like 94, 95, you were swapping a lot of kids around with all of those
Sure.
movies,
Kid
man. All
swap,
these like
dude. Hollywood. Oof, boy.
I have some documents that they're still swapping kids.
Yeah.
in Hollywood, actually.
Oh,
If you
really?
watch-
just ask
watch this
Jim
movie.
Caviezel.
Exactly. Watch this movie that I love.
Are you going to be on?
You know
Are you
what?
going to be on Russell Brand's show soon?
Yes, because my favorite movie is watching kids be abducted. Oh my goodness. My favorite movie is Sound of Whatevers.
Sound of Freedom.
So, and then this is where Ann Dowd is like, hey, everybody, I'd also like to introduce the new member of the troop, Kelsey Jordan. And a girl's joining the scout troop.
Wait, what? Record
Yes.
scratch. Is that
Yes.
is that allowed? Oh my lord. Anyway, it kind of comes to nothing too in a way.
No, I mean the only thing that we got a bra bomb at some point. That's about
That's
it.
true. And
Yes.
it,
Yes, which
that-
does work, Nerdlinger.
it comes in handy for sure. Yeah, that really does.
So those are the kids, and that's what they're gearing up to do. They want to do this overnight thing. Mom, why can't we do the overnight? We cut back to Daniel Stern, who now the police are after this guy, and
Yes.
he's trying to get up to Devil's Peak to sort things out. With his whole misunderstanding, and I fucking love this gag of him trying to steal the cars, and
So
all the
good.
car alarms are going off, and then he gets in the car. And he's ready to go, and there's a kid in. There are so many
but
jokes
Andrew,
packed into this thing.
Before he gets to that car, he puts his head down into this other car, and the guy's in it, and he's just like,
Yes.
"Oh, got your keys? Yeah. Oh, good." Moves on to the next car. Which then, yes, this woman goes into the store, leaves her kid in the car, and he sits in the car. And he turns it on, and the kid in the back's like, "Mister, I gotta take a dookie," and it's a kid that is too old to be sitting in this car
Oh,
seat.
yes.
Oh yeah, this is that's what's so great about this. You're triple punch with the jokes right here. One,
Yes.
a child just being left in this car, ridiculous. Then Daniel Stern getting in the car, and there's the kid. The kid's got to make the dookie, but then him leaving this child in the car seat on the side of the road, and then when you get the full vision of the kid, he's way too large for this car seat, and that's
Yes.
something. There's parents out there, man. I gotta say,
Oh yeah.
it's more with strollers. When your kid's too big for a stroller, I'm sorry, but it's embarrassing. Stop humiliating your child. If their fucking feet are dragging on the sidewalk just because you don't want to carry it or whatever, Get a bigger stroller or I don't get a backpack or something. This is embarrassing.
I never forget a face, even if it's a child's, and I will know what he looks like as an adult, and I'll be like, "You're that kid from the stroller. It was way too old to be in it, aren't you?"
I like the use some great. You're the stroller boy, huh?
You were in a stroller as a baby, like that's a burn.
It's him and his wife and his 2 children. Could you please stop?
Your feet were dragging on the ground.
You were bushwhacked. That's what you were bushwhacked once.
Excuse me, sir. I'm going to call the police. That sounds like some type of sex crime.
Also, did you just defecate yourself? Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah, speaking of Dookie, dude. Yeah, so this is Ann Dowd has decided she cannot take these kids on the overnight hiking trip that they want to do for this merit badge, so we need a more experienced scout leader, and in she hires Jack Erickson, played by the great Brad Sullivan from Slapshot and 1,000 other fucking movies.
From one of my favorite scenes in The Untouchables.
Yes.
He's the guy that the guy that won't cooperate until I think Andy Garcia pulls up. It's a Kevin Costner takes a dead body and shoots it, and pretends like like he's asking questions and blah blah blah, and he shoots the dead body in the head. He's like, "You're next," and he goes, "I'll cooperate."
Right.
Yeah,
I think it was like, was that was like near the Canadian border or something? That
Yes,
sequence.
yeah.
Yeah, I rewatched Untouchables not too long ago. It's still good.
It holds up. It's a movie that like I constantly forget exists, and then when I watch it, I'm like, hell yeah, Untouchables. So this dude is making his way to the same starting point as Daniel Stern is. There's a mix-up at this general store here, and he runs into this guy, and this is again just Daniel Stern, like the low-level scumbag stuff, parks a stolen car in a handicap space.
Yes. And the gag when he's like trying to ask the guy like directions to Devil's Peak and the news starts broadcasting his face, he just puts his face over the TV.
And it's that great gag of like the facial expression on the mugshot is the same one that he's making in the store.
Yeah. And
Fucking
Devil's
love
Peak, tough drive. What kind of car you're driving? The one parked in the handicapped zone. In enters Brad Sullivan.
Oh man, this is great, dude. And these people exist too, and it's a fridge too far for my taste. But like the "I'm an inconsiderate person" sticker that we're doing, it's so great.
A little story about that sort of. In my condo complex, there was a car that was parked in a guest spot, and one of these guys I know from the HOA was a real piece of work. He did that to this guy's car.
Oh, really?
It was like he printed out a whole note and like fucking duct taped it to the side of his car on the glass and shit, and was like, "This car's usually parked up the street. This is a private play, blah blah blah." And it's like the dude has lived here for like 30 years, and he got furious about it. And apparently, it was like impossible to get the shit off his window.
Oh man,
Yeah.
That's brutal, dude.
Small town life.
Yeah, I guess
Small town
like,
vengeance.
Yeah,
this guy has a full sticker though, which is like really some extra effort. He has to get that designed. He has to get that
he uses
printed.
crazy glue.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
That's what
it's
comes
crazy
into
glue.
But he's
play.
still printing these things out, and they're nice, like meticulously cut out
thicker.
squares of paper.
Yeah.
That's true. That it is twisted.
I mean, the funny thing about this with Ann Dowd is that Ann Dowd, she gets shook. Like she thinks she's doing a great job of this until she hears Gordy 2 complaining about it. Like she actually gets shook by Gordy 2 being like, "Look, we're making pudding. This is terrible. We have to do something about it." I would like to think she's stronger than that, and that what she's actually doing is seeing an opening for a week long. She has her whole roster of fuck buddies ready to come by. And then she's going to have that happening while Gordon and all of his little dumbass friends are out fucking hiking with this guy. She can be home enjoying life for once.
Right.
And like
I guess
having the run of her house. Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I would love it. Do you keep cutting back to all these guys waiting for the gangbang to start? Being like,
yes.
Well, do you want to start jerking? Well, I'm not jerking. It's gay. If there ain't no chick here, man. I ain't getting into that.
Where's Annie?
And
Annie
Steve,
Dowd.
You hit on something. Surprisingly, no homophobic remarks in this film.
Shocking.
Not one.
Yeah.
Not one.
That's
Which is
pretty
great.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's so like the next day, she's like, we have a new we have a what do you call it? We've got the greatest scout leader ever. He's gonna teach you guys. And little Dana, they're like, oh, Dana can't go because his dad said no. And then at the last second, Dana shows up with a permission slip. Come on, Ann Dowd. You got to be smarter than this.
Yeah.
Like the dad later is reaming her, and he's right. Because you got to be like, oh, okay, cool, Dana. Let me just call your dad really quick because I heard that he didn't want you to do that.
Does she need to be smarter, or does she have a date with several men that she's looking forward to and sees that this little son of a bitch might throw a wrench in it?
Well, I mean, if that kid don't go, it's no concern of hers. She can still be getting gangbanged.
Send him home. Drive him home.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But still, late start.
The point that the dad makes is fairly accurate, though. He's like, you couldn't tell the difference between a child's handwriting and my signature.
What is that in The Simpsons? And then it looks like Homer's actual signature.
Yes,
that's right. But anyway, back to the general store scene. It ends with like Daniel Stern super glues Erickson to his hands and his chin to the steering wheel of the stolen car, and he steals this dude's Hummer and drives off, set for the same spot. Unbeknownst to him, this guy's been hired to take the kids or whatever. And this fucking moment of him like in the traffic, and there's like this geriatric cycling club crossing the street. He's losing his fucking mind, screaming at these old people. They're just like, hello, oh, hello.
Hey. Waving the shots of these.
I'm gonna run you over. Okay.
Yeah, the shots of these they look so stupid. These dudes going on their bikes, these older people, and just them politely waving. And it is just played for such a comic effect that it's just great. I really love the shot of that going, hey.
Like, because he screams like, get your wrinkled asses out of the way. And they're like, hello.
Yeah, and he glued Erickson to his car that was stolen to drive south and don't stop.
So there's a cop that comes over, and this is a great, like, again, it tells you a lot about what level of like crime scumbag this dude is. Like, this cop comes up like, oh, hello there. And he immediately like breaks down, starts screaming like, it was all a mistake. It wasn't my fault, blah, blah, blah. And the guy's like, whoa. You just got a little lost. That happens. We'll take you right to the hiking spot.
Because he's lucky because Brad Sullivan's Humvee says Scoutmaster on it, which is smart. Lets you know who's inside the car at all times.
Yeah, but the guy's, is so anal that I could see him doing that.
Sure.
Steven, like, do you have a car with podcaster on the back? Is that what your car has?
I have.
That's not a question for Steve.
Exactly. I mean, I just look like a podcaster in general, and I'm walking around the street, so that works out.
He's got a sticker on his ass that he puts. So I guess.
Yeah, if you get involved in any type of crime, Steve, the police will stop you and be like, "Whoa, you got a little lost. The podcast festival's this way."
So whatever, he gets a police escort and he shows up and he gets out the car and they're like, hey, your new scout leader's here or whatever, your hike leader. And these kids like swarm him immediately because like Ann Dowd, I guess, has like gotten, I don't know, this Erickson's like bio to read these kids or whatever, but they know about all these great feats that he's done over the years. And they're like, oh, tell us about the time you climbed Kilimanjaro. And just this great, a guy not understanding that he's talking with children or not caring or whatever. And it's like, tell us about the time you climbed Kilimanjaro. And it's like, it was a bitch. Yeah. It's just fucking great. And like the fact that
he said it was in the Alps or whatever. And they're like, what? Hey, wait, that's wrong. It's like, well, I had to cross the Alps to get there.
Yeah. Oh, the cop's like, oh, what a hike that must have been or whatever. Like the fact that every adult in this movie isn't immediately like, all right, so he killed the scout leader and, threw the body in the forest,
right? Kids are like, wow, look at your high-tech hiking shoes. And they're Italian tassel loafers.
That needs to come into play later. Like, those things would be garbage. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, they would
just
turn
off
shredded.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, his feet would be totally just bleeding. I mean, the amount of, like, real-world, like, cuts, bruises, dings, BO, ball funk in this movie, all coming from Daniel Stern's character.
Sure,
by
yeah,
the
of
way.
course.
It's pretty intense shit. But
By the way,
it's
when he walks away with them in this scene, there's such little jokes throughout this whole movie. He's walking away with these kids, you know, leaving the police and the parents or whatever, and he sneezes directly on them.
I do like that his thing is like, all right, you guys walk, and I'm gonna watch you guys and evaluate you from behind, which is amazing because he just leaves his initial instinct, which is the right one. I was gonna leave these kids in the woods and it'll be what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. But then he's
no
so
qualms
bad.
whatsoever.
But then he's so bad at being in the woods that he tries to get away from them, and he ends up in front of them, which is, I thought, a great gag. You know, you hike in circles if you're lost.
It's true. And he's a scaredy cat as well because he's Daniel Stern, you know. He gets really nervous.
An instant freak out. Within like 10 steps, there is a massive freak out right here. But yeah, he just winds up back in front of him again. There's this other weird detail about this, you know, the real Erickson guy where, like, I guess just because he's a good climber or whatever, they call him Spider. And so like these kids are all really running this nickname into the ground like immediately, which pisses him off, that's the correct reaction.
I knew an outdoorsman with the nickname Spider as a kid. It wasn't in the Scouts. It was like a part of a day camp situation. You do like nature hikes with this guy called Spider, which I never knew his actual name. Everyone was just like, well, you kids are going with Spider for the day.
Oh,
guy looked like Frank Zappa.
Yeah, he sure did.
Thankfully, nothing happened.
I
like
were gonna get lost.
No, we didn't get lost. It was pretty, you know, easygoing hiking, but
Good.
you know, scary, right? You leave your kids with Spider for the day.
Why not just call him Sam? Like what the
Yeah,
fuck? Like what is elevated about Spider?
The vibe was not it's not because he was a great climber. It was like, this dude likes spiders or something. This guy was weird. This guy had something
weird.
wrong.
He had
with
a
him.
spider phase, or he had maybe a spider tattoo on his elbow, maybe. Possibly.
That could have been like if he was like an old roadie or something. I mean, guys, that
Sadly,
reminds me.
I didn't get to explore his body, sadly.
Well, I'm sure that's
sorry,
fine.
Eric.
It does remind me, though, of that one time in Far Out Queens, we were doing karaoke at a dive bar, and that dude who was like clearly the king of that karaoke night, Spider Jones.
Spider Jones, that's right.
Spider Jones.
I think he spelled it with a Y too.
Yeah.
That's a cool way. That's
that's the great thing about those. You get to see the sign-up sheet and everything. That was that was the night that me and Chris did that beautiful duet of "Girls Just Want to Have Fun."
We did.
I think about it every time.
Got that.
Every time the song comes on. You're right, Chris. Someone should have been fucking filming that. I don't know what we were thinking.
That would have been perfect to release with the 700th episode.
I think probably that happened so long ago that like
cameras didn't exist.
Video on phones wasn't great. Yeah. You know what I mean? We weren't shooting in HDR to capture you guys doing that. So we get, we're on the way, basically. We get to, I like the campground that they go in, which like might be a bunch of hippies dropping some acid and hanging out. It really is this like, and Eric, I'm sure you experienced this on the trail. Like there's like sort of like places that feel almost like Grand Central Station a little bit, like the
popular areas.
Like paths all coming together at the same location or something.
Yeah. Then this was filmed in the Lake Tahoe area. It looks very beautiful.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Gorgeous area.
Yeah, the Gordy 2 is upset that it's so populated because this kid, all he does is complain. Like all he does is complain.
It's taxing. Like so much so that like by the end of the movie, when he goes off that rail, I'm like, oh, finally, just some quiet.
The what do you call it? They're back at the base, and Dowd and the rest of the group find out that their kids have indeed been kidnapped by Mad Max Grabelski,
right? Because they find the Scoutmaster Erickson glued to this car, and there's this scene of the cops like, "Get out of the vehicle!" I can't. I told you I can't. They pull him off the little scream there.
I would love it if they fucking just Sonny Corleone this car. Like, all right, you're not gonna get out.
Yeah,
that's what the cops would do in the real world. I guarantee that.
Absolutely. I do the like sound effect here of this dude's chin being ripped off the steering wheel, and then there is the great like the scream is so loud that like animals in the forest hear it from far away or whatever, which is always funny. They do amp up like Daniel Stern's character is kind of this like indestructible cartoon figure.
Sure.
Because he's walking around and he's like, oh, geez, all the mosquitoes are getting me really bad. And the nerd kid's like, oh, here's some bug spray. And it's like a combination of like, he's a cartoon character, but also really fucking dumb because the kid is straight up like, this is some bug spray. And he just starts chugging this.
Well, in
like
his defense, it's bug repellent. But you still should know not to
What
drink
is the difference? You don't drink anything with bug in the title.
He chugs it, and then it's like, oh my God, it's a little
That's
tangy.
What else is tangy? There's what the fuck? Oh, wow, that just knocked loose. I think it's the second Problem Child movie where they have a lemonade stand, or is it the first one? And Junior pisses in it. And he's like, I drank all the lemonade. And he like pisses in it. And then is it Gilbert or like a neighbor or somebody?
Jack Warden, I think.
Is it Jack Warden as the grandfather does
his
it?
grandfather.
I hope he's not drinking piss.
Oh, he's drinking piss. He's drinking, yeah.
Look at this. It's criminal that a movie like Bushwhacked, culturally forgotten. Problem Child, I guarantee you could find hundreds of thousands of people have seen it.
And not only does one kid piss in this movie, 12 kids piss in this movie.
There's such good pissing scenes in this movie. We are going to get there, folks, but there's a great pissing sequence.
The first we run afoul of this bear. I think little Milton is afraid of a bear cub, and Grabelski, because he's so stupid, is like, oh no, it's Winnie the Pooh, and he's like petting it, playing with it,
and stuff, and boxing it, and then Mama Bear comes out and he faints and he's being dragged around like a corpse, and the kids think, oh, this is genius, because in the manual it says you're supposed to play dead. So they start thinking like he's acting out like what to do, like, oh, I'm going to get involved with this Mama Bear to show the kids what you should do when you play dead.
Every time they cut to this bear actor just swiping away at this Daniel Stern dummy, it is some of the funniest. Man, just like, give me some good dummy stuff like this. Just a big old bear knocking around a dummy. I'll watch like 15 minutes of that.
They couldn't afford Bart the Bear, by the way. We see this is not Bart the Bear.
Oh,
yeah,
damn,
no, I mean, you rarely would you reach like the bear acting heights of a Bart the Bear. Like this bear's trying, but like, give me a break.
Will you please? Jer the Bear is just fine. He's doing very good.
Bear, man.
He's doing just great. He's a fine, good, and the little one as well, Norman Bear, he's also fine.
Of course.
And at this point, they know that there's cops out in the woods, and so now Jon Polito and the Scoutmaster are following them. They're trying to make up lost ground and catch up. And this is sort of where we get our little pissing sequence. I didn't realize we were so close to it, but we were close to it.
Oh, no, it's right here.
Oh,
I do love the shot that opens this, where it's like the kids are singing some stupid little marching song, and Daniel Stern's like in front of them. And the way that Stern's like physicality is right here, this guy is just walking like he's on a fucking death march. Like, it's just like, and it's this really great, like, juxtaposition between the kids, like having a great time and singing this song. And this dude is just like, with every step, he wishes he's coming closer to death. It's so great.
And he's got this rifle over his back, and it's just his movements look so sloppy. He's so not equipped for this. And it's great. It's great. Jon Polito, hilarious. Love that guy and everything.
He's up against a rock, and the scene starts with one of the little kid, Dan, is like, I gotta pee, and he's like, well, Daniel's like, what's stopping you? And we cut to Jon Polito at the bottom of a mountain, like, oh, thank God, there's all this mountain rain, and he's bathing in 6 children's piss.
Yes, yes, and the kids are singing. I wrote it down.
Thank you.
A little
here we go
for you guys.
Here we go.
Shake your lizard, let it drain. Move your hips and spell your name. Send it straight, send it hard. Now a sword fight en garde.
Oh,
because they wave their dicks at each other. I guess that's what the sword fight is.
Yes, that's what we learned in Cop and a Half.
And then we get the Erickson, the Scoutmaster, be bad news for you, Palmer. That ain't rain. And then we get the last line. Lean back, boys, golden arches.
Excuse me. Eat
All right,
your
now
veggies,
flip 'em
eat your
and
starches.
zip 'em.
I'm sorry. It's eat your veggies, eat your starches. Lean back, boys, golden arches.
You got it. Oh my God.
I noticed this time around, like, the special effects here are ridiculous. When
Awesome.
these kids lean
Love it.
back, the vert that these streams of piss are getting, man.
So good.
Were these kids drinking
Gorgeous.
Bud Light all day? Like, what happened?
It's wild. There was still that much piss left in there, and it's defying gravity that much.
Oh, it's so
Secondarily,
Yeah.
Daniel Stern is not pissing with them, right? He's not.
No.
pissing
He's
with them,
not.
we're positive.
No.
Yes.
Just
He's just
instructing-
behind them.
See,
He's just
Steve,
instructing them how to piss. He's just
Yeah.
telling them how to do it.
it does never gets to that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Except for the sex ed talk, maybe a little bit, but
But yes, now Jon Polito's been covered in kid piss. He's hard as a rock. I
Where
know.
is John Waters to fucking direct this movie and actually do what? Because this should actually be just going with Joe Polito's character after this and him finding a new way of life now that he finds out he loves being pissed on and he takes great relish in it.
Also, though, this is the second time we've seen this recently. If you recall an episode from last season, American Pie 2, where Stifler
Right.
gets pissed on by the MILF guys. And in both of these instances, both Stifler and Jon Polito's FBI character confuse like warm, hot piss fresh from the fucking source
yeah.
for like cool summer rain.
No.
What is wrong with people's sense of feeling in this movie? Like, obviously, you're getting pissed on.
Well, Stifler thought it was beer, right? He thought he was
Yes.
getting a beer poured down his gullet, and he's
you're
actually
right.
drinking piss.
You're right.
But yeah, like in both cases, it's supposed to be cold anyway, unless it's a hot spring that they're gonna climb to. I don't think so.
It would be great if piss was cold, right? It'd be. I
Nice
feel
a little more
Never thought
refreshing,
about
I
it.
think.
exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve. Exactly my train of thought. It would be a little more refreshing,
Okay.
Ooh, there it is.
or maybe
Yeah.
put a little menthol in there.
Oh,
God.
no.
Just,
No,
to keep you awake.
sir.
Uh-huh.
I do love what you call it? They scream out. Daniel Stern sees them. He knows now he's being chased by these guys, so he runs. And in running,
Running badge time. Everyone run. It's running
Yes.
badge time.
Both the Scoutmaster and Jon Polito are climbing the mountain. One of my favorite things in all of movies is the ADR fat joke, because what happens here, folks, is the scene is done, right? It's just Jon Polito and the other guy climbing over to the mountain, and like the guy's like, come on, gosh darn it, what are you doing? And then there's an ADR thing. It's like, how fat is this guy? And then
Yes.
they run off together. But that's like, again, that didn't happen on set. That wasn't in the script. It was like somebody watching the final cut, and be like, we could squeeze a fat joke in here right now. Just get somebody in the ADR booth. What a fat fuck. I love it. I love it. Oh, I love it.
I mean, it is. Yeah, maybe it's not the in best taste joke, but I do like that this movie. There's jokes nonstop, basically.
They get to a Temple of Doom-esque bridge right here. And I do love Daniel Stern being like, all right, littlest kid, you're the first one to go across this
I feel like
thing.
this is a lot of the trailer, right?
This was
Probably.
Yeah, a lot of bridge shenanigans in the
Mhm.
trailer, and it's just your classic.
them running over the
Yes.
thing. That was a big a shot in the trailer. I don't know why he doesn't get this little. What you should get Dana. You get him behind a Jeep. Get some nitroglycerin in the back. Get him to drive it over
Yes,
there and see how much he's really got as far as will goes.
This kid, our annoying lead child, Gordy, falls through at one point. And this is Daniel Stern, again, the character just being such a great scumbag. He's not like necessarily concerned for the child's safety, more that it's slowing everything down. He's like, come on, Gordy, stop horsing off out there.
Yeah, and the scene where the part of it where he's just running across at a full clip over this bridge, pushing all the kids forward, and somehow one slips through Milton Fishman, who's just trapped on the bridge.
Yes.
And he's already started chopping the bridge down.
I do appreciate, yes, you are trying, you cut half the ropes out on this kid is like trapped and paralyzed in terror on this rickety rope bridge.
Yeah. And then there's like Fishman, and then we get the whole you are Milton Fishman's super stud in order to get your mindset, I guess, to
psych
get
the little
across
guy
this
up.
bridge.
This is also where they do drop a hint. And I mean, God bless him. I miss him every day. Rest in peace, Jon Polito. Amazing in everything he touched. But like, this is where they hint, even though you glean it already, that like maybe Jon Polito's not necessarily on the up and up because he takes out this fucking rifle and he's aiming it towards Daniel Stern's character here, and he's just like, "Goodbye, Grabelski. Hello, $1 million." And you're like, "Oh well." No one's giving an FBI agent $1 million on the up and up.
But Brad Sullivan stops like, "You're gonna hit the kids, gosh darn it!" It's like
there's a scout on that bridge.
That's right.
You would hope Jon Polito would then, at that moment, shoot Brad Sullivan, and then go and shoot the child, and then shoot Grabowski.
Here's the thing: if 6 kids pissed on me, I got to go down the mountain. I got to get changed. I got to shower.
Yep.
Hotel night, and then tomorrow I will do what I need to do.
Today's day of work is over.
Exactly. I need to watch like hotel television for 4 hours in a completely cleaned environment and be like, all right, now I'm okay.
Get some Hoarders, get some Shark Tank. You're going to be all set.
Maybe a Ghost Hunter show.
I think some people would argue, not me, maybe, this is like tech millionaires and billionaires.
Sure.
Bathing in the young people's piss is rejuvenating,
No, Eric, no, that's blood. I'm sorry. You
thinking of blood,
them.
dude.
It's the blood.
Is also pretty good for you, right?
But they like drinking it. They like drinking the piss.
It.
Wait, what? Who's drinking piss?
So many people drink piss, dude. It's crazy.
Many tech billionaires do this. Andrew,
Yeah.
You're not aware of this?
I met a guy when I was a kid who proudly drank piss.
Yeah.
He was a new age fella, you see.
Oh yeah.
I remember that guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
You told this story before.
We're talking about ponytails, bead bracelets, and some loose flowing linen. And he's like, hell yeah, I drink my own urine. And, I think he drank it like twice a cycle or whatever. Like he'd piss, he'd then drink it, and then he would piss again and then drink that. And then after that, I think he needs to not drink piss for a little bit.
But why?
Because it rejuvenates you, apparently, right?
But it's by definition waste. Why are you re-consuming waste?
Because it's waste, but there's still stuff in there that's not. I think there's still some water residue. I don't advocate it. I know Kevin Costner did it in the motion pictures, so everyone wants to do it like Waterworld style.
Sure.
But
that was at least that was filtered by a gadget, dude. That's just not dick to mug.
The body is a gadget.
That is also true, and as Eric is being a little timid. Elon Musk, of course, is a very outspoken piss drinker.
Is that
right? Loves it very much.
I
drinks
drink
it every day.
piss.
He likes it cold and he likes it warm.
I have to have so many babies so I could drink your piss.
I like pissing out the piss I've drank. I like pissing double piss.
Why is it Bushwhacked on Blu-ray, pedophile? Yeah, well, that's gross, Eric. Do you know what happened to that guy? Did he die from a piss overdose?
I don't know what happened to him. Since I never saw him again, maybe he did pass away from drinking too much piss.
That might have done it.
Ew, God.
And also the answer, obviously, the reason to drink piss is for sexual satisfaction.
I think
fine.
that's it. Yeah.
Yes.
I got no stones thrown from this guy.
A little bit of dick beer goes down easy.
Exactly.
Right?
It's all fun.
You want to do that? Do you want to do it in the bathroom, by the way? Not in the bedroom, because that's just going to get the sheet.
Yeah, it's just a mess. Get in the shower. Get in the tub,
Yeah.
Something with a drain, people.
Get a poncho out.
I don't care how thick your fucking plastic sheets are. Get in the bathroom.
So Jon Polito tries to shoot Grabelski, but the scoutmaster stops him. Don't you dare! There's a scout on that bridge.
And they, he psychs up Milton Fishman enough to finally get over the hump. And then he does indeed Temple of Doom this bridge pretty well.
Jump Polito's got to jump for it at the last second. Or is it the
Scoutmaster?
It's Erickson? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. But hey, we're actually doing it. This is like we actually have real shit happening in this movie, which you don't see anymore.
Balaram, prepare to meet Kali in hell.
So we stop to camp for the night, and then this is again just like the brilliant stupidity of this character, like the little nerd kid who's like constantly referring to the scout guide or whatever. Is like, the guide says that when you want to make a fire out here in the woods, you got to get some pine cones. And they're like, collecting these pine cones, and Daniel Stern is just like, wow, here's a real big one. This will keep the fire burning all night.
Big
It's
as a
as big as a
football.
football. Yeah.
This was a real time waste. It's like, we need a gag here.
Yeah.
What's the gag? I don't know. Maybe he's playing football with a beehive. Why would he do that? Shut up. We're shooting it.
To be stung by a bunch of bees for my enjoyment.
Dude, I love all of these like animated bees straight out of like
Yes.
golden era Disney movies. Like just unapologetically animated looking bees. Pretty great.
The joke here at the end, when they're like, the kids are like putting calamine lotion on him or whatever, they're like, well, he stopped seizing 5 minutes ago, which is kind of funny. Like, that he got
Yeah,
upset.
that's pretty funny.
I mean, also bee bites of this size, I mean, bug bites in general. It's a funny thing to show. Like,
Yeah.
having them like have to like put all this stuff on them. It's fun to show. I think is better than like burning his hands or something.
There is a wild line at the start of this though, where the fishman guy is like, the manual says to use pine cones, and Daniel Stern's character turns to this child and goes, if the manual said to stick your wiener in a light socket, would you do it? And I was like, man,
Yeah,
that
I
is
guess-
a line.
Well, I guess he's just sick of this kid already. You know what I
He
mean?
is.
Yeah.
He is. Oh, he is. He's sick of all of them, dude. He really wishes he didn't get lost in the woods back at the start of it.
Yeah.
Or he would wish he wasn't bushwhacked. You know, that's a big problem.
Also that. Yeah,
Meanwhile,
you don't
this-
want to get bushwhacked.
The scout leader, the scoutmaster, and Polito are down at a river because they have to hike around because the bridge is out. And
Mm-hmm.
he's trying to get fish out of the water with his bare hands, talking about how you have to hunt down the goodness in life and everybody wants everything now, and that he is the thin khaki line between morality and depravity.
Nice.
That's when you're also like, all right, maybe Daniel Stern is like a crazy scumbag guy on the lam and whatever, but this guy's also crazy.
He's fucking
Sure.
crazy.
Out of
And
his
this,
mind.
this is the line that maybe hints at what Steve wants to happen. Is there's no telling what kind of depravity Grabelski's up to right now.
First of all, I don't want that to happen. I'll be really
You don't?
clear about that. No, I'm glad that,
Oh, good.
again, I think that this movie only can exist because that is never even remotely broached.
You're right,
It is
you're
like
right.
the,
Yes.
I was just
is this-
messing with you.
I know, but I want to have fun too.
But the
I mean,
movie, Steve, you're right. The movie is better for not even trying to wade into those
'cause
waters.
I
Not a
think-
single parent says anything
Absolutely.
like that.
I
No.
do think that, like, if this movie was made today, A, he would smoke less cigarettes, and B, that would definitely be something that would be addressed at one point.
Yes.
At least
yes.
jokes.
The Family
Well-
Guy, edgelordy shit
Yes.
that
Yep.
seeps into kids comedy these days. It has to be there. It's like LOL molestation. It's like,
I mean,
let's not.
Instead, where this kicks off them discussing sex, like, can you tell us about the birds and the bees? That is
no, that's not what kicks off sex. What kicks off sex is the one kid's like, hey, I got a Playboy
Yes.
here.
oh,
Yeah.
And they're like
yeah.
about to look at it, and it's like,
Ooh, baby, yeah.
he sees it and is just, what do you kids got here? And it's immediately that like, well,
The
Mr.
way his
Grabowski could maybe look
Yeah.
at this.
The physical comedy, Daniel Stern, the way his eyes bulge out of his sockets, looking at the
I was about to compliment that as well because it's a stupid joke. It's like,
Yeah.
obviously, like, a grown man can look at pornography and be like, oh, that in his brain, be like, that's pretty cool, and put it in his pocket and be like, that's not cool for you kids. But
Right.
to sell it this hard with the eye bulge,
Yes.
it's great.
he's incredible.
So they ask him about the birds and the bees or whatever. There's this really funny like little kids like not understanding stuff like, oh yeah, what do you think happens or whatever, and it's something about like, and then a man and a woman take their shirts off, and it's like, oh no, the guy, I think it's like Fishman or whatever, is like, the guy doesn't have to take his shirt off, just
Yes.
the woman or whatever. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, as if it's like totally the truth. Even the little girl Kelsey's like, oh, got it. Oh, all right.
It's great. And this is, he's like, let me see your dollies. And this is when he's like, the man dolly and the kid dolly. And then I think they cut back to down
Man
to
dolly and the girl dolly, not the man
Yeah,
dolly and the
Yeah.
kid
I think
dolly.
he
Oh
says-
God.
I think he says Lady Dolly.
lady dolly. And it's like, he starts to mash them together. We cut away and then he cuts back. And we're just watching him go. And then he's like really
Work
making
it,
these-
baby. Work it.
baby. Oh, yeah. Oh,
He's got the cigarette hanging out of his mouth still lit. That's how daddy likes it.
And there
Everyone,
is-
start your engines. Awooga.
He has taken off. What's great is when they cut back, his jacket is off
Yes.
and the cigarette is lit as if like he's George C. Scott and he's been like screaming at somebody in a meeting for
Right,
a
yeah,
while.
he's been
Like this
doing
is
this for
still going.
30 minutes or something.
No, but that's the one scene missing in Barbie. Like we've explored all these other avenues. That's what people did with Barbies. They mashed their genitals together and just saw what happened. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like
Yeah.
that needs to happen at some point, or the lack of genitals.
And then the
mashed-
Ken doll has a cigarette, watches a little Leno, and goes to sleep. Any questions?
Is there no
They make a
genital
reference.
joke in Barbie?
There is.
They said that there's that they don't have anything down there.
Oh,
but,
they
you
do.
know,
Okay, there's
yeah.
at least that. All right.
Yes.
I couldn't remember. It's been a while. Yeah.
But no
any
actual boner
questions,
joke.
which is great, and they're all fucking like totally horrified by him. And then they get it. This is a weird like. I guess it's kind of like maybe not really like a bonding scene, but it's like they're getting along or whatever, and they're doing like what would you do in this kind of scenario kind of
Yes.
campfire game or whatever. And what if a blizzard came through and everyone died but you? Like, would you eat the people? Like that kind of stuff or whatever. And then it's like, Max, you do one. And it's just like Daniel Stern really kind of getting deep emotionally here. Like, well, what if you were lonely scumbag, and one day a guy comes along to you and says, hey, I'll give you $50. But he's explaining like how he got set up into this thing. And like, it's a weird thing where it's like, and maybe he thought, being a delivery guy would be exciting, but it's actually, well, pretty boring and soul crushing. He's not saying stuff like that, but that's like the vibe of like, here's my miserable life. And then the kids are all just like, no, that sounds shady as fuck. I wouldn't do that.
Yes.
Only a moron would do that.
That sounds like a setup.
Yes. It's pretty funny.
Well, okay, let me ask you, kids. So you star in 2 groundbreaking kids entertainment films. And then the company comes to you and says, hey, why don't you direct this kid's baseball movie and star in the kid baseball movie as this weird guy who's kind of like talking to the guy like the kid like he's an adult. It's weird, right? And then you do another movie where you're an even more perverted version of that guy with, unbuttoned top button, some necklaces around here. Just
Who would walk blindly into a trap like that? Only a sucker, doofus, moron, or sleazeball would do that.
And meanwhile, you're part of one of the longest, best running shows on television, but nobody knows it because you're a goddamn voice.
Dilbert?
No,
The Wonder Years.
The Wonder
Oh,
Years.
right.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
I forgot the Wonder Years.
So
Oh,
did
yeah,
everyone.
he's-
That's why
he's old
poor Daniel
Kevin.
Stern. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, man, fucking Dilbert. Right. Speaking of Daniel Stern in the 90s. Eep.
Yeah.
Forgot about that
Sadly.
fucking
Sadly.
hellspawn cartoon. But yeah, the next morning is when they find out, like, so little shitty Gordy's been working on making some sort of radio device.
Sure,
I don't know
this
what
is
the hell this was.
is a little convenient, but it's fine. We're having we got to move the movie along. So it's like he builds a radio.
Yeah, and they hear, Mad Max Grabelski, he's taking kids hostage, blah blah blah, and they're like shit scared, and they run up to this tent, and man, I'll tell you right now, like one great physical joke of like Daniel Stern too big to sleep in like a child's pup tent, so his
Yes.
feet are sticking out the front door, which is great. But he has gone to sleep with this Playboy. And
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you right now, this dude jerked off the previous
Yep.
night.
Probably.
Because you know what Daniel Stern's
Good for
character
him.
has had in this movie? A lot of really bad Fargo sex. Just a
yeah.
lot of scuzzy, drunk one night stands. Maybe there's another dude getting laid in the twin bed next to you, kind of a thing.
Hell yeah.
Well, he's paid for it so many times.
Oh, Lord.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so this is where he wakes up and he's like, he's waving a gun in the children's faces for comedic effect.
Yes.
Fantastic shit. You're
Love it.
only getting in 95 and previously.
They should let you do that now, not just in movies.
God. This country does let people get away with that quite a bit,
Oh, actually,
actually.
you're right. Never mind. We should stop that, actually.
We
Actually,
sh- we
stop
should.
that and let me do it in the movies.
But so the kids sort of, rally around here like, all right, we got to do something about this. Like, we got to take this guy out. And they mix, this thing would fucking kill this man. Like, once again, just like drinking the fucking bug spray.
Yep.
They're like, all right, we're going to take a water canteen and fill it with a bunch of allergy pills, cough medicine, and sleeping pills.
Why do these kids have sleeping pills out of curiosity?
That's a great
question,
question,
yeah.
actually. Yeah, maybe if like old little Milton couldn't sleep in the woods or something.
Sure.
Actually, yeah, that's it. Because Milton Fishman's parents give him that big sack of fucking meds. Probably
I see.
in there is some
Oh.
fucking some real serious shit that will put you right down.
And
Some
you know, maybe
children's Ambien.
Fishman Senior's little blue pills are in there too by mistake. Maybe
Mhm.
got to watch out for that.
So he passes out.
swinging
And he
hard-ons.
hits incredibly hard. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, big swinging ones.
So it's that thing of like, oh, hey, Spider, aren't you thirsty?
Yeah.
And they eventually do like sort of get him to drink this. And again, because it's just like the tangy line, he chugs this whole thing and then he's like, oh, that is good. It's like, what is wrong
Woo!
with this man?
Thank you. And he starts jogging.
Probably get a pretty good buzz off that. You probably get like a little initial buzz, but
Oh, yeah,
eventually you're
definitely.
going down.
And then,
Because it's like your heart rate's just going until
Right.
he eventually does collapse dead almost. in
after
the
one of
movie.
them mistakenly calls him Grabowski, and he's like, "How'd you know my name?" And then he passes out. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I had a doctor with that name that treated me once for an undescended left testicle.
Yes.
That's not a lie, Fishman. That's a thing that actually happened to you. Maybe the doctor wasn't named Grabowski, but that's way too specific for
And he
that to have
says
been made up.
specifically like that it's going back up right now as he speaks or something like that.
Nice.
Yes, which is pretty great. Yeah, he's so scared that his fucking nuts are ascending because he's terrified.
Good line, Fishman. I'll be honest. You did good there.
It's not
Super
bad.
stud. Sorry, super stud.
But he passes out and they're all excited. Like, oh, we caught Mad Max. And they're like yelling off the cliff. And like Polito hears them at this point, I think is the idea. And he runs up. And this is like he ties Max to a tree. And then like the kids are going to get like suspicious here with Polito. Like,
Right.
why is this guy being so crazy with the gun? Why is he, being
Yeah.
mean to Max or
One
whatever?
good line from the Scoutmaster Erickson here is, "I'll take 6 Ranger Scouts over 1 federal man any day." I kind of love that weird libertarian streak of like.
Oh, he does
fuck
have
the
that dude.
government.
He's calling him G-Man through this
Mhm.
whole movie.
Oh yeah. Well, I think he doesn't respect him as an overweight person as well.
Oh,
you
that's
know,
true.
There's a little
That's a
bit of
big
that.
It's
Yep.
one of those signs of weaknesses that he would call it.
He's constantly calling him Cupcake too. That's his other big insult is
Right.
everybody's Cupcake. This guy would be annoying to be
Oh,
around. There's no doubt about it.
absolutely.
A little bit of economy here and a bit of a question mark. Anthony Held shows up flying his own helicopter. Like I was, because I was just sort of like, okay, so who's the helicopter pilot? That's a character. Oh no, it's Anthony Held that's doing that. Like,
Yes.
That's
But
not
yeah,
fun.
he's Bragdon is alive and well, and like here's the big reveal to Grabowski.
Right,
He was
Polito
set
takes him
up.
up there, and yeah, you're alive. And the thing with
And-
the teeth is funny, huh?
It's fucked up, like because like Daniel Stern's character is like, hey, they found your teeth, like the dental records match. He's like, oh yes, it was quite expensive to get all those pulled. Like, this is dedication to this scam, I have to
Yes,
say.
But at $1 million a tooth, it was well worth it. Kill him.
Mm-hmm.
I can't kill Jon Polito. He's just doing his job. Oh, kill me.
yes.
yeah, oh,
so-
kill me. Yeah, that's great.
And they're about to kill him. I think the kids now realize, oh, we need to save our good friend Grabelski because something's crooked.
Yes.
This is when the bra bomb is utilized.
Right. And this is
because-
also the point where Held has said, like, you have to kill the kids as well. So
yeah, it's pretty. Now we're up in the ante on the we're
yes.
for Jon Polito. Like I'd be like, listen, I'll kill fucking Daniel Stern. I'm doing society a favor. I am not murdering 6 children.
Yeah,
For the same
absolutely.
price that whatever we agreed upon.
right.
Yeah.
But it's got to be a few $1 million.
Yeah,
But he
2,
says
3.
$1 million.
Yes.
Just one?
Well, yeah,
That's one, but that's for just Grabowski. For the kids,
Yeah.
I think you need to.
No,
I think you're talking about 3 million, 5 million at very least.
You're
Sure.
totally right. But what I'm saying is, like, Polito doesn't even have the good business sense to renegotiate the
You have to.
terms before
You have
any
to.
of that. You know what I
Sure,
mean?
yeah,
And
yeah.
again, it's that crazy thing where it's like, yeah, Grabelski was going to get 500 from this, Polito $1 million, when Anthony Heald is getting like $60 million.
And again, if you go to jail for killing Daniel Stern, contract killing Daniel Stern, you're probably doing 20, 25 years, whatever.
Tops.
Right.
You
Something like
kill
that.
6, and you're going in like just as a regular criminal. You kill 6 kids on a mountain, you're getting the chair and
Yep.
the You probably won't even make it to the chair. You get Dahmered in the fucking weight room, dude.
Yeah.
Right.
The prisoners would not appreciate you
Prisoners
at all.
loving
Yeah.
children, pretty weird.
You'll probably meet your
lighten up.
end. Probably meet your end on the courthouse steps. Someone will
Oh yeah.
take a gun to you, or maybe they just stone you right there. That'd be great too.
Mhm.
Well, they kind
but
of get
hey,
stoned right here because we're launching stones with Kelsey's little trainer bra, and one nails Polito, and then when the other one's going for Anthony Heald, he moves out of the way and it hits Daniel Stern and knocks him off this cliff into the river. And I have to say right
Amazing.
here, this is a stunt man going off this cliff,
Yes.
absolutely, and the
Yeah.
kids kind of run away to like go save him, and this you get like a team of little person stunt people here because it's all just like Good Son type
Yes.
little person stunt
Yes,
actors
absolutely.
diving off this cliff into the river to save him or whatever. Amazing work for that community for this movie. Like so many jobs for hire right here. But it's all great. It's all like legit stunts happening, which is
Yes.
again,
Incredible.
it's so rare. It looks weird to your eye, you know. But they all jump in and it's, oh, we got to save him or whatever. Where's the little kid? He's gone missing. Uh-oh, we're coming up to a waterfall and this Dana kid pops out of nowhere, saves Daniel Stern, and he's able to like grab all of them. And then it is this weird thing of like, uh-oh, here comes Polito and Heald again. We have to, the little girl is like, throw your bags in the river, make them think we're fucking dead. Throw your
just-
bags.
she just watched A Fugitive. She's been
Exactly.
thinking about these things. Dana, but I'm sorry, and I don't want to be the fucking drive a truck through it guy here, but fucking little Dana saving this whole Dana versus the Rapids and 7 bodies, one of which
Yeah.
is an adult. Dana, you and your friends are going over the falls and you're going to die in the rocks. That's what's going to
Sure.
happen.
Mm.
That is,
But you do get supernatural strength, Chris. in
I
moments of
suppose.
extreme stress.
That's
and,
true.
And he's real strong. As he says, you know, I
Yes.
may be small, but I'm real strong. And
That's
I guess three babies in the fucking audience go, yay. Yay.
Listen,
me.
Chris.
So it's
listen.
one brief moment of your little kid power thing. It's at least it's not the
Yes.
entire movie.
No,
And it's not an all kids power thing. It's like, hey, the little guy can do something too. And I think that's
Sure.
important. Because everybody kind of gets their moment, aside from the 2 Gordies in a way, which is funny. But like Kelsey is able to like, you know, use some ingenuity here to use her bra to take him out or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the little guy saves the kids. And then it turns out in a few minutes, the fat kid isn't a liar. He actually is familiar with mountain climbing
it
equipment.
is, yes. We would
Yeah.
have
So,
guessed.
Wow,
You know, little things in there for these kids. But I don't think it equates to kid power as it would normally discuss
But
us.
the
on
trick
movies
does
like
work.
this.
John Polito's like, relax. What we couldn't do, nature did for us.
And we were just cackling this helicopter. We just
Yep.
killed 6 kids.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Not a second thought given to it, dude. They might as well be chomping on cigars, just laughing.
Meanwhile, Ann Dowd finds the gum in the address in the gum that was discarded, and tries to get the FBI to go up there. And she knows that the house is owned by Mr. Bragdon because she's a real estate broker, which I didn't know.
Yes.
I mean, it only comes up once.
And then at the camp, one of my favorite jokes is one of the kids tells Daniel Stern that if you get the electric chair, you should put a light bulb in your mouth like Uncle Fester. And he just says, good idea.
Yeah. I think that might have been a trailer segment also right
It
there, a
is.
little piece of the trailer.
I love the Ann Dowd. Like, the problem with the Ann Dowd and the other FBI guy, like the guy, he's the other guy from The Fugitive, as we said. Like he needs something else. Like he's not crooked. I guess he's just kind of stupid because
Yeah.
Like he's super bad at, like, you're right. So much to the point where it's like, you're so like hamstringing this investigation by being
Yes.
that stubborn with her. Are you in on it, or are you just that stupid?
Yes.
Yeah. Because like she says, like, you know, now, Mr. Thompson, when I step on your foot and show you this fucking address, this is where the children are. And he's like, oh, a real estate agent. Well, isn't that helpful? Let the FBI
Yes.
stick to this, honey, or whatever it is. And she does a great, like, grabbing this dude, like, you're going to get up there and you're going to fucking find them. And like, I guess the dude just doesn't do it because then again, another, like, I don't know if it's scenes deleted or just like Slop City getting to the end of this movie. She's just driving this fucking Hummer out of nowhere.
Yeah, she does have the line, or do I have to do it alone?
Yes.
And then she's driving up there. Yeah. because she has to do it alone. And then we get the belaying scene with the climbing ropes.
Well, 'cause he's
Belay myself.
Well, he has to climb Devil's Peak, and it's this enormous mountain. These shoes would be nothing. They would be sand at this point. Like, there's just
go barefoot at this point. Yeah.
yes.
Hey, in that first Home Alone movie, Daniel Stern is totally barefoot through like the entire third act. And remember, he's got the fake Daniel Stern Hobbit
That's
feet.
true.
Like
Yeah.
this, like because he can't be walking outside. Like you should do that. You're right. Like his shoes should come off, or at least like the like toes are sticking out the top of it or something. Or at least just comment on it. Comment on like, boy, my feet are bleeding constantly, or something like that. But yeah, so this is okay. Whatever his name is here, the little liar kid. Like, this is the last time. Like, did you actually climb Kilimanjaro? Like, do you know how to use this equipment? And it's great. It's like Daniel Stern, like, I won't be mad. Just tell me right now that you're lying, and it'll be totally fine. He's like, no, I did it. And it's it's great. It's Daniel Stern, like obviously not on a real rock face, but doing some belaying in the stunt set here, which is pretty great. But
doing his great screams, just like more
the screaming.
screaming. Just lots of screams. A scream-based comedy is really what they're doing.
But dude, this like belay myself, that was a line spit out all the time around our house.
Wow, okay.
Because I think also it was the thing where like this was literally the movie that taught us the word belay.
Sure.
And so it's like, oh, it's like a weird word, and now we're little kids and we're gonna repeat it constantly. But like this belay myself line was used quite a bit. So they all get over successfully and they get up, and the last thing, and this might have even been one of the posters at one point, or like back in the VHS cover or something. But how are we going to get over this big crevasse here?
The human bridge.
Him leaning over it, doing the human bridge. Really great gag here where he's like, the nerd kid's like, oh, hey, Mr. Grabelski, did you know that based on your height and body mass, you'll be able to hold this pose for another 3.5 minutes? And he's like, great. Take your time.
Yeah.
And then they leave him there for a moment. It's fun.
Which is great.
It's a funny gag.
This with the kid, when they reveal the solution to how the kids are going to climb over him, this I remember being one of the big guitar wails that happens. Just wow! Look how awesome this is.
It's something. It's sure.
It's a kids movie. What are you going to do,
we're having
Steve?
Fun. I'm having
sour
fun.
Steve Sadak. But Ann Dowd, maybe this will do it for you, Steve. She's all tied up to a chair here.
You like that, right? If you saw this as a kid, I know you. So what you're into. You would have been busted. Never mind.
Busting what exactly?
It would have been a formative movie. You would have loved this movie.
We would all figured it out together.
Exactly.
I do like, again, Jon Polito's like, I guess now I have to kill this woman too. Christ, like what? When did I turn into the Terminator? I want some more cash here.
He does suggest like killing Max is one thing, but all these kids, why don't we just clear out? And Bragdon's just like, the last truck is coming and with the last $10 million and we're not going anywhere.
I do like there's a repeated joke from earlier where like the nerd kid has binoculars and Daniel Stern does a like, let me see, and he's strangling the kid with
Pretty
them.
funny.
Yeah.
That got me every time.
And it happens here where it's like, I see so-and-so and I see this and I see that and I see Gordy's mom tied to a chair. And it's again Daniel Stern strangling this kid with the binoculars, which I do love.
Then we also we get Polito gets taken out by Erickson, the scoutmaster, who's just up a tree that just jumps down onto him. Hey, Cupcake.
That is a wild part, man, where it's like Erickson winds up getting handcuffed to that tree, and he just like, I guess spends literally the whole night shimmying up it.
Right,
Speaking of Terminators.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that I love
core strength.
And then he gets the kids over and he's like, all right, kids, now what we're going to do is dismember the body. What we're going to do is cut through the joints and through the bolts and take each part, and we're going to dump each part of the body in separate places so that people cannot find him.
we're going to find all the feeding spots for the wolves and bears on this mountain, and that's where we're going to leave all his parts.
And we
Who wants
bury
the
the
head?
teeth separately.
Scatter them like ashes.
And take your time when you're doing it now. You don't want to rush through taking apart a body because you're going to make mistakes.
I know it feels hard at first, but bodies want to come apart. You work the joints and it will come apart.
Let the knife do the work.
Now, I know it sounds weird, but you do actually have to take the foot from the leg. It's two separate pieces. You take it as one thing, you can't fit it in so many places. You wouldn't believe the situations I have gotten into with the foot still on. It's unbelievable.
Leaving a foot on is how they catch you.
So Bragdon's now calling
yeah.
for Palmer, who is Jon Polito's character. He's taking the suitcases to the helicopter, doesn't see him there, so I guess he's going to clear out. But this is where Max sneaks in to help Dowd.
And something Max jumps at Anthony Hilda, and Anthony Hilda gets out of the way, and the kid goes right over the mountain.
That is hilarious. But
yes.
first, she's all Dowd's tied up. And
Oh,
he's
right,
like,
sorry.
what kind of knots are
knots.
these? And she's like mouthing like, "Oh my god, he's an idiot." And
Yeah.
he's trying to untie her for seemingly, I guess, forever because we see the ropes all done in different ways, and then we hear Anthony held behind. It's a clove hitch. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Twist ending. He was a scout himself, you see.
Yeah, dude, he was a scout the whole time.
Wow,
Mhm.
it's coming from inside the scout troop.
That's right. Yeah, because he's like, I learned it in the scouts in that great Anthony Heald scumbag delivery that he always does, which is awesome. But what it is they're out like on this deck, and Anthony Heald is going to shoot Dowd in the head. And this kid, Gordy, comes around the corner and he does like a get away from my mom.
Yes.
And he runs and he trips on like a board, like sticking up out of the deck or whatever, and just stupidly gets launched into the air. And again, Anthony Heald's character, no qualms about killing kids. Like, over the side you go, child.
Totally. I would
Which
do
is
the same.
pretty awesome.
I love it. And I like Stern being like, "That was my kid, you sick freak."
Oh,
And he
yeah.
just knocks his teeth out. That's kind of fun.
like the dentures, I guess, that he got put
Mhm.
in after he got all his teeth ripped out.
And even for this like quick second where like Anthony Heald is supposed to be toothless, he is game to be like,
Yeah.
it's debasing yourself to the highest degree, and he's going for it.
But of course,
but-
Gordy's
yeah.
alive, saying he's down there, and then Max has to go down there, and they're like on the edge with this tree.
This kid's about to get good sunned. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
Like,
Mm.
which let him go. It's Gordy's the worst one.
I agree.
It's Ann Dowd's kid. She's right there.
Yeah.
You know.
That's
Oh,
true.
fuck. I
That's
guess we
kinda
got to
rough.
save him. So Max
Yeah.
goes down to save him, and he's like, "Believe me, I'm scared too." And they're on this tree growing out of this side of this cliff, and Gordy's got to let go to grab Max's hand to be pulled up. And once this happens, when that tree goes down, great shot of it going down this
Oh,
cliff.
Yeah, just this tree sliding down. And then I think you're supposed to be like, now just pretend this was Gordy.
Oh,
Pretend
yeah,
that tree
dude.
branch is Gordy. Now
Oh,
watch
yeah.
it fall. But whatever. The day is saved. Great. And then we get this like outro where it's like the big scout jamboree that's happening.
Sure.
You know, and it's basically the end of Star Wars. We're all getting medals here.
Yes.
Daniel Stern's getting a medal.
The kids all become Eagle Scouts. He becomes an honorary Scoutmaster.
Right.
Yes.
The
'Cause-
punchline is really weird here at the end.
Very
because
strange.
Yeah.
It's like because he's like it's Brad Sullivan giving it to him. He's like, and you're a Scoutmaster, and you know, because of that, you can take the kids to Yosemite. And he turns to his kids and he's like, "Isn't that great, kids? We're all going to Yosemite." He's like, "Oh, not just those kids, all the kids." And
Yes.
they all descend upon him like zombies about to
Yes.
devour him.
Yeah, they're
And
about
he-
to tear him apart.
And they're grabbing at him and he screams, and that's the end of the movie. Because I guess there needed to be a punchline of some kind. But
Yeah.
Right.
question
it's-
mark.
It's weird because it goes from like what you think is a sequel setup at first,
Yes,
like
yes.
Bushwhacked 2 Yosemite Adventure, but then it's just child horde and him screaming once again, like when he's covered in pigeons in Home Alone
Yes.
2. It's that exact scream,
Mhm.
and that's
Yeah.
like a freeze frame on a truly embarrassing facial contortion from Daniel
Sure.
Stern. You know, like it's a bad angle. It's the hot light from the stage.
I
and
gotta
he's,
say-
like, got his mouth open.
My man needs a beard. Also, just an FYI in terms of looking all
I'm
right.
go-
Yeah.
I need to say no on that because
wow.
I think
Wow.
that's key. That's key to him looking as scummy and gross as
Oh,
he, like,
sure. Yes.
That's what makes it work. Like you're like
Right.
solving a problem that I don't think it's a problem they want to have. And like I do like the idea, like, well, we're gonna have you take the whole troop to it because, well, I'm gonna be honest with you. We've had a lot of accusations against Cub Scout leaders. And,
You're
it's
the
just
only
been a
one.
real.
You might
It's
be
been a
a
real
criminal.
problem.
You might be a criminal and a scumbag, Grabowski, but we are way worse with these guys.
You have no
at least you
idea.
never diddled anybody. You got a clean slate as far as diddling's concerned, Grabowski.
And we got rid of all the good gay ones, so now we're really fucked. So honestly, we're just gonna put it all on you, Max. You've got it.
But that is the end of the movie, and unfortunately, or at least Eric and I think, unfortunately, no Bushwhacked 2 ever.
So
Yes.
sad.
Which
Not
is
ever.
fucked. It's
So-
fucked
Was,
up.
was
So
there
tragic.
a Bushwhacked SNES game?
Don't believe
I
so.
don't think so.
Sadly.
I don't believe so. I don't.
Yeah.
I think like the closest movie spin-off thing you had to this is maybe somewhere in the universe there's a Bushwhacked novelization.
Okay.
Also,
But I think that's probably as far as it goes.
shout out to the theatrical poster, which I do own the one sheet of. I need to put that back up proudly because it's painted. It's like real fucking movie poster. And I'm so tired of what we get these days of the weird, like, here's their heads in a row, CGI,
Nah.
not CGI, Photoshop. But
Yeah.
it's a gorgeous, gorgeous painting of Daniel
Yeah.
Stern holding onto a rope from the belay scene, and then them all in the river at the towards the end. Beautiful poster.
I miss a good painted poster like that.
Yeah.
Like in the era of like you'd get painted posters for just like dumb comedies like this too, you know? Like, oh man, that era is gone. I'm thinking about that fucking horrendous Killers of the Flower Moon poster
Yikes, dude.
still,
Pretty
which
bad.
is just abysmal. But that is the end of this movie. We'll go around the horn here. Final thoughts, Chris Cabin?
A really good movie. I like it very much. I've seen it like 15, 20 times. I don't know. I've seen it a lot. I remember seeing it in the theaters even. It is just it's a showcase for Daniel Stern to be like, I can make these faces and make these noises, can't I?
Sure.
I'm very good at
Oh
this.
yeah.
And it's honestly, it's a very good showcase for those things. If you want those things in your movie, he does quite a lot, and he almost holds a movie together, I would say, by doing it. I kind of want a little bit more of him. I don't know where I would put it exactly, but like him, like being able to just ooze certain lines out, like "You're a loser, Max." That stuff really does work. I just don't think we get enough of it, but you know, highly enjoyable for what it is. It's exactly what it says it is, and I think it does it very well.
Steve Sadak.
Light recommend here, but still a recommend, which is more than I would have thought I would have given it before I saw it. I think it's a fun, it's not exactly well made, lovingly made, I guess. It's not one of those movies where you're like, nobody gave a shit about this. Apparently, like, Daniel Stern even defends this movie to this day. He's like, yeah, I know it's like kind of a piece of shit, but everybody had fun, and I still kind of like it. You know, that's where he's landed on it, and I think that's a reasonable place to be. I think you're right, Daniel Stern. So I'll agree with you.
I'll hop in and say, yeah, it's always the best when it's like you're having fun at the movies because people making the movie had fun making the movie. You know what I mean? And it is good to hear about that. Hey, Daniel Stern, you can come on this show anytime. We'll talk about Bushwhacked, the Daniel Stern Bushwhacked interview.
Please.
We want to get this to cult status. I don't know. And again, yes, it's because I saw it in 1995. It's that kind of like edgy, you know, comedy for kids that like, you know, point me to one now, I'll happily watch it. But like, it's aggressively unsanitized. And I think that's just, it's interesting. It's an interesting little time capsule thing like that, in my view. Like they don't exist like that. And I know they don't make them like this anymore as a tired fucking thing. And I feel tired even saying it. But like, I feel like with the case of Bushwhacked, it's totally true. And just the Sternaissance, Stern mania from the 90s. Like, I was fucking totally there for it. A Rookie of the Year is another one I saw 1,000 times as a kid.
Previous episode too.
Previous episode, that's right. And I think we've also done both Home Alone movies now.
Yep.
So, and we did a commentary on Chud. So yeah, I don't know. I grew up a big fan of a middle-aged dude who made me laugh all the time, and whatever. It's fucking fun. Put this movie out on Blu-ray, you fucking cowards at 20th Century Studios, wherever you call yourselves now, you fucking pricks. Eric Siska, final word.
Yeah, no, I think it is a classic, at least for me. And I just love Daniel Stern. I think the physical comedy he gives here is on par with his Home Alone work. I just love this movie. And I know that part of that is nostalgia, but it's also nice seeing just like a scumbag-esque character being the lead. I think this might also be because I loved like Army of Darkness, which is like Bruce Campbell being a coward and funny. And I just like that type of character type. And I think people need to see people should seek this out. If you're into like 90s comedies, and if you've never seen this one, and I know it's like partially a kid's movie, it's worth a spin.
And if new parents at home, if you don't want your kids growing up soft, show them stuff like Bushwhacked.
That's right.
Show them things from the 90s where we grew up hard. Anyway, that is going to do it for episode 700. I know we thank you every week for listening, but this week especially, as the show hits yet another huge milestone, we don't do this unless you listen to it and tell your friends to listen to it. So we very much thank you for the years of support. Whether you just started listening recently, hey, thanks for tuning in. We hope you stick with us. We do it because you listen to it. We wouldn't be here without you. Let's do 700 more. That's going to do it for this episode. If you are interested and have not yet gotten hip, patreon.com/WeHateMovies. You could be listening to this episode ad-free at the $8 level or up. That's something we introduced at the start of this season and will be happening going forward with all new We Hate Movies episodes. So you got that looking out for you. And I know that this is the middle of October, and maybe some of Daniel Stern's horrifying screams qualify this as a spooktacular, but we are in the middle of the Halloween spooktacular right now. Took a little detour to celebrate 700, but out now we have a We Love Movies episode all about The Exorcist, the Billy Friedkin masterpiece, of course. You want to check that out
this week.
Is this week? Is that right?
Yeah.
That's what happens. Man, thanks for getting that. Recording in advance and everything. Calendar is not my strong suit today. But yeah, so that'll be out the 12th of October. So that's going on. That's at the $5 level and up. Steve, we have a cartoon animation damnation that's a bit spooky.
We are actually going down to South Park, if you could believe it. We're something I never thought we'd do on this show, but it was a good idea by Chris, and we're doing the South Park Corn Halloween special. We had a lot of fun kind of talking our South Park histories and talking about corn and new metal and stuff. You'll have a lot of fun if you listen to that, gentlemen.
Absolutely. And yeah, so the spectacular did start a week early, of course, with Saw 5, so we could work this guy in, but don't worry, you're not losing any spectacular episodes. As a matter of fact, you're actually gaining a spectacular episode, Eric Siska. What am I referencing there?
You were referencing our digital worldwide experience that's going to be happening on October 26th at 9 p.m. At moment.co/WeHateMovies, moment.co/WeHateMovies. Tickets are on sale, and you can see us live doing an episode, and it's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a replay after for 7 days. So if you can't make it, because we know
7 days,
and then you die. No. Then I die. Folks at home, you will not die if you listen to this. So you.
But what movie are we talking about? By
Friday
the way?
the 13th, part 4, the final chapter. Yes.
4.
I almost said Friday the 13th, part 13. That's how excited I am. It's part 4, the final chapter. Corey Feldman.
It's Feldman.
Yeah, Corey Feldman.
Yeah, it's so weird that they made the last Friday the 13th movie before they released 7 more appearances.
Funny thing to do.
Yeah, Corey Feldman, and of course, Crispin Glover finding the corkscrew in that movie.
Right.
And I believe this is also the movie. I haven't rewatched it in a while. I think this is the one where the sad loser is murdered watching vintage pornography.
Yes, he is.
Which
yeah.
that is, that's a laugh a minute, folks. So moment.co/we hate movies, or you can head to whmpodcast.com, click on the tour page. The information to get tickets will also be right there. And again, yeah, if you can't join us live 7 days after, you guys know the score. There will also be the VIP Q&A session that we'll do after the show, which is also a lot of fun. So make sure you bundle those ticks when you get that. You want to get the show
and so
and the VIP.
Are clear. This is an audio and a visual experience. So you could see us actually perform an episode live. It's a lot of fun. We've done a few before. We hope you will join us.
And Chris Cabin, we will also have a once in a lifetime this month that I think is already out on what motion picture?
A Killer Under the Bed.
Hell
it
yeah.
is a doll movie, a killer doll movie.
Yeah.
Not quite up to the heights of Stuart Gordon's dolls, but can't ask for miracles.
Not even up to the heights of Puppet Masters, dude. I mean,
No,
this
not
is
even.
it is
No,
a
no.
doll in the loosest sense of the definition.
Yes, but QAnon's greatest queen, Christy Swanson, will be there to help us through it. And yeah, we look forward to hearing what you think of this.
And we also have a syncable commentary coming out this month on Society, wherein it was my first time watching Society, and I did it live.
Mhm.
And I think sometimes I was really quiet because I was just stunned. But you can watch along and be stunned as
If
well.
you're wondering, like, especially when we get towards like the shunting, like towards the end of the movie there on the commentary, when Steve goes quiet, actually, if you turn it up, you can hear him just whispering, the horror, repeatedly as he sort of like puts water on his face and just tries not to die. No, that was a lot of fun. It's a wild ass movie from Brian Yuzna. Commentary tracks are always a lot of fun. And, sometimes folks sync, sometimes folks just listen. You can do both. That'll be available later this month at the $8 level and up. But that's the Patreon offerings. The Spooktacular continues next week. Steve, what movie are we talking about?
Oh, dude, I'm really excited about this one. Pumpkinhead.
Yes.
That's right.
The first in the Pumpkinhead series with I think there's more than one. At least
There's
two
at
or
least
three, I think.
two.
Yes.
Yes.
And this movie is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it the last time I watched it.
It's, whereas Bushwhacked has 0 dead kids, this movie has at least 1 dead child in Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, and then a lot of dead teenagers coming your way.
Yes, absolutely.
Shocking it up.
I'm excited, man. This is a movie I've not rewatched in a really long time, so I'm pumped to kind of revisit good old Lance fighting that big monster. Is Stan Winston do the effects for Pumpkinhead?
Sure.
Yeah. Is that right, Chris Cabin? I can't remember. I
think
seem to remember that.
He might have directed this.
It's a good-looking Monstar.
He's
Now-
definitely.
It is directed by Stan Winston.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, there we go. I was not too far off base there. So until next week when we tangle with Lance Henriksen in Pumpkinhead, I've been Andrew Jupin.
Steven Sadak.
Eric Siska.
Chris Cabin.
Take it easy.